それでもやってくれないとダメです。患者同士が会話をすることで夢の情報
Isn't that
を
Dr. Luskin's voice?
共有してしまうでしょ
いや、それはそうですが。
う。脳というのはね、他人が見た夢なのに、それに共感を覚えてしまうと、あたかも自分が見た夢のように錯覚してしまう。
Their brain's
そうい
infected
う
by
可
a
能性だっ
dream.
てあるのです。
Yep. Across the lobby, I saw an old Japanese doctor in a white coat and a big man in a suit who was frantically trying to talk to him. I'd seen the man in the suit before. Actually, it was a man I knew well.
教授、レスキネン教授。
I hurried
レ
over.
スキネン教授。俺です。岡部です。
He must have been wearing his translator because he was communicating with the old doctor in Japanese. JK, JK. Dr. Lesnan's face quickly broke into a smile when he saw me.
Oh, Rintaro!
His voice was so loud that everyone in the lobby, doctors, nurses, staff, and even the patients turned to look at me. But Dr. Lesnan didn't seem to notice them as he ran over. He was like a giant American football player racing for a touchdown.
ちょっと待ってください、教授。ストップ、ストップ。
My cries went unheard as Dr. Lesnan tackled me and then pulled me up. Then he switched from football player to pro wrestler and he swung me up and down. I felt like I was a little child. There was nothing I could do to resist him as he flung me around. A moment later, he noticed the cold stares of the people around us and finally released me.
いやはや、すまない。あまりに驚いて、はしゃぎすぎてしまった。
Dr. Lesnan bowed to the people around him in
レス
apology.
キネン先生、この青年とはどういったお知り合いかな？
The doctor that Professor Leskinen had been talking to was staring at me suspiciously.
その
I wasn't sure exactly what to tell him. It wasn't like he was really my
見た
professor.
ところまだ学生のようだが、どこの大学かね？教授と同じ脳科学専攻だとすると。
いえ、俺は。
彼は9月からビクトゥ・コンドリア大学の学生ですよ。いずれ私の研究室に来てもらうつもりでいます。
え？
ほうほう、ビクトル・ポンドリア大学かね。これは驚いた。
I looked over at Dr. Leston questioningly, but he just gave me a mischievous smile. This guy. He really was such a
日
kid.
本人であそこへ行ける学生なんてめったにいない。大したものだ。
どうも。
After the doctor left, I sighed loudly enough for Professor Leskinen to hear me.
今の人は？
この病院の院長だよ。
院長？そんな偉い人相手に堂々と嘘をついたんですか？
おや、私は嘘なんてついたかな？確かに9月から我が校の学生とは言ったが、何も今年の9月からとは言ってないよ。それとも何かい？君は結局我が校に来る自信がないのかな？だったら少し残念だが。
He really was like a little kid, completely shameless. But still, it was hard to hate him.
でも驚きました。まさか教授がまた日本に来ているなんて。
It had been 5 months since I'd seen him off at Narita.
魔法も一緒に来ているよ。
そうなんですか？一言も教えてもらってませんが。
I talked to her often via email and video chat, mostly about Amadeus' testing, but she hadn't said a word about coming to Japan. Hadn't heard anything about it from Kuriso either.
またあの和光市の武装のオフィスだよ。クリスと一緒にいつでも遊びに来るといい。泥棒に入られるから別の場所にしてくれと訴えたんだがね。
Dr. Lesnan looked up toward the ceiling and shrugged. It did feel like that place had security issues.
ウィンタールはどこか具合でも悪いのかい？治療でここに？
ああ、いえ、違います。入院してる友人の見舞いで。
ああ、そうか。それはよか。いや、その友人にとっては良くないか。申し訳ない。
ああ、いえ。それで、教授こそ、 日本の病院で何を？
Dr. Lesson brought his face close to mine and whispered so that the people around us couldn't hear him.
君も知っているだろう。例の新型脳炎の件だよ。アメリカ政府の依頼で精神生理学研究所が治療法を研究していたんだが、手詰まりらしくてね。私も調査に加わるよう大学から命じられたというわけさ。
そうなんですか。レスキネン教授が新型脳炎を。
Now, there was a word I didn't expect to hear. I explained that my friend was here because they thought she might have the disease.
もしかしてその友人というのは中瀬克美？
ああ、クリスマスパーティーで会ってましたね。
うんうん。実は私が新型脳炎に興味を持ったのもあのパーティーがきっかけでね。君と克美が揃って倒れただろう？
He was right, actually. In my case, I'd been sent to the other world
克
line.
美には何日か前に再会したんだけどね。私にも何度か噛みついてきたよ。どうしてまた入院させられるんだ？私は元気なのにってね。
そうでしたか。
もう少し協力的になってくれると嬉しいと、リンタロウからも伝えておいてくれないかい？
ああ、
実際のところ、キャツミだけでなく、すべての患者に申し訳ないという気持ちはあるんだ。
I bet you do.
我々も日本の医師団も研究を進めてはいるんだけどね。どうにも
We're doing what we can.
結果ばかりで困り果てているのさ。
Dr. Lesson's usually chipper expression darkened. The man was such a ball of vitality that I hadn't noticed until then, but when his smile disappeared, I could see the wrinkles that had formed on his face from exhaustion. He must have been working hard, like he said.
正直、最初はどの医師もこれほど不可解な病気だとは思っていなかったらしいんだけどね。ん？どうしたんだ、リンタロウ？
あ、その、
何か気になることでも？
いえ、俺は医学生じゃないのでさっぱりです。
I was just about to tell him about my reading Steiner, but in the end I couldn't. If my uninformed opinion was wrong, it could cost the encephalitis patients their lives. I couldn't just tell him what I didn't have when I didn't have any proof. Good idea. And then his face drew close to mine again.
ところで、その克美がなかなか興味深いことを言っていたんだよ。自分たちは病気じゃない。別の世界の出来事を夢で見る能力があるだけだとかなんとか。
I told her not to say anything about it. Could she not help it? This was bad. They might start to doubt her sanity.
中瀬さんはそのとても想像力がたくましいというか SF とかアニメとか大好きですから、他の平行世界を感知できる力なんて多分趣味の影響で口にしただけじゃないかと思います。実は俺もそういうことを言っていた時期があるんですよ。
I tried my best to come up with excuses, but Dr. Leskin still seemed concerned.
だけどね、私も治療プロジェクトに参加して驚いたんだが、確かにこの病の特徴として多くの患者が夢を共有する不可思議な現象が起こっているんだ。集団幻覚に近いのかとも思って今調べているんだけどね。でもなんだろう、こんなことは初めてでね。脳科学的には今のところ解が導けない。正直非科学的という言葉が一番しっくりくるくらいだよ。それこそ平行世界とか前世の記憶とかね。
そうですか。
君も克美からいろいろと話を聞いてくれると助かるよ。医者に言えないことでも友人になら話すだろうしね。
はい、一応心がけておきます。
さて、リンタロウ、それはそれとして確認だ。
Dr. Lesson was looking over my shoulder.
クリスマスパーティーの時にも感じたんだけれど、君のガールフレンドたちはキュートなお嬢さんばかりだね。
え？
I turned around and saw that Mayuri, Kaede, and Yuki had all stood up from the sofa and were looking at me. When they saw Dr. Leskin was looking at them, they waved.
やはりあの中に恋人がいたりするのかい？ユキ、カエデ、マユリ、ルカ、それともカツミがそうなのかな？
His words were so surprising I couldn't think of anything to say. Maho would often call this middle-aged man a mischievous boy, and that was exactly the look he had on his face.
いや、別に無理に聞かせてくれとは言わないよ。君のプライベートを詮索する気はないからね。ただ、まあ、可愛い教え子にちょっとした土産話をと思っただけさ。
Dr. Lesson turned to walk away before I could figure out what he
それ
meant.
じゃあ、リンタロウ、私はもうちょっと院長と話をしないといけないから、これで。できれば、ユキたちにも一人一人発揮していきたいところだったが、次回にとっておこう。彼女たちによろしく。
あ、はい。
Mayuri and the others came over to me as I watched him go.
今の人、レスキネン先生ですよね。どこかで見たことあると思った。アメリカに帰ったんじゃなかったでしたっけ？おかり？
There was no way I could tell the girls what Dr. Lesson and I were just talking about. So let's just fade to black and go to nighttime. After Fubuki's exam was over, we went to her room and listened to her complain, and then the visit was over. Just like Dr. Leskin had said, she looked just fine. She told us she was ready to leave the hospital and jog all the way home. My ear and the others were relieved, but I felt worried. Did I need to talk to Dr. Leskin? Did I need to talk to Dr. Leskinen about reading Steiner after all? But how would I explain it? It might be a better idea to talk to Maho and have her explain it to him. I couldn't come to an answer right away. Suzuha with new outfit. It was a very hot day in 1998 when Suzuha said goodbye to Kagari Shina. She'd gone to get food and water from a local store, and when she'd come back to and open the hatch, Kagari was inside screaming. She looked inside and saw that Kagari was slamming her tiny hands on the control console.
お前、何をしてるんだ?
Kagari shrank back when she saw Suzuha.
違うの。これは、答えろ。目を覚ましたら、鈴葉お姉ちゃんがいなくて、真っ暗で明かりもつかないし、狭くて怖くて苦しくて。だから、かがり、ドアを開けたくて。それで、あちこちいじってるうちに、こんなことに。
Kagari started to cry.